So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes so that you get to cover your current affairs very quickly and you're left with your entire day covering other parts of UPSC syllabus. Now, just watching this lecture would be job half done because just after watching it, you need to revise it as well. Well, why you ask? Well, revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes are shared on our Telegram platform. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this video. You just have to click on that link, and it will take you to our Telegram channel from where you can download the notes for this lecture and do the necessary revision. Alright then, let's begin today's discussion. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. Okay, so in total, we'll be focusing on these 5 topics. Number 1 is RBI's Remittances survey. Well, Indians working abroad send money back home. That money is known as remittances. Now, RBI conducts this periodic survey where RBI looks at the data with respect to remittances that India receives from Indians working abroad. Which country sends the most remittances? Which country which country has a higher percentage of Indians? All these things basically is shown in remittances survey. So we'll talk about this because a very, very, very new development has occurred with respect to remittances in India. Okay, so we'll talk about this. Then recently, United Nations UNCTAD has released Technology and Innovation Report 2025, which talks about the readiness of every country with respect to new technologies like AI. So how has India performed with respect to readiness for new technologies? Well, it is mentioned in this report, so we'll discuss this report. Then, very new and dangerous development occurred with respect to Ottawa Convention. So what is this Ottawa Convention? We'll talk about this. Then, Government of India has launched Vibrant Villages Program Part 2. So what was Vibrant Villages Program Part 1? What is Part 2? And how significant it is with respect to India's national security. We'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll not discuss, but I will basically add this topic in your notes, and that is initiatives at the 6th BIMSTEC Summit. We have talked about BIMSTEC Summit, the 6th BIMSTEC Summit, and we have had ample discussions on it. So some initiatives were launched by India at this occasion and were adopted by the countries who participated in this summit. Okay, so what were those initiatives? You can read that from the notes. Okay, so this is the 5th topic. So let's start discussing them one by one, starting with RBI's remittances survey. Okay, now what are remittances? Basically, Indians who work abroad send money back home. That money is remittances. Okay, now the thing is, so far, Gulf countries have constituted more than 50% of remittances received by India. Okay, Gulf countries. So there are many workers from India who work in Gulf countries and they send money back home. Now, remittances received from all the different countries of the world. Well, more than 50% of it came from Gulf countries. But recently, RBI in its remittances survey found out that Gulf countries, which held rank 1 when it comes to the amount of remittances sent, well, has been displaced by advanced countries. Now, advanced countries, developed countries constitute more than 50% as compared to Gulf countries. Gulf countries have come to rank 2. Okay. Findings of RBI latest remittance survey released last month show a significant shift in India's remittance sources. Earlier, more than 50% used to come from Gulf countries. Now, more than 50% comes from developed countries. Advanced economies, US, UK, Singapore, Canada, Australia, together accounted for more than 50% of the total remittances received in 2023-24, overtaking Gulf Cooperation Council for the first time ever. Okay? Now, this is basically good news. Why? Because Indians who used to work in Gulf countries were basically belong to workers or a category of workers who were semi-skilled or low-skilled. But mostly people working in advanced economies, Indians working in advanced economies, well, they belong to high skilled workers category, right? So this is good news. That means more and more Indians are taking up jobs which are of high skilled category abroad. That is why we are receiving more share from the advanced economies, right? Does that make sense? So that is the thing. Okay. Now this remittances survey had some key highlights. So let's talk about those key findings. Okay. Increased share of advanced economies. USA has become the top giver of remittances to India. Okay. So maximum remittances now come from USA. Earlier it was UAE, but now it's USA. Then UK, Singapore, Canada, Australia lead remittances. Declining share of GCC. GCC stands for Gulf Cooperation Council. Basically, it includes countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Oman, Qatar. Okay. So their share has declined from 46.7% in 2016-17 to 37.9%. Plus, Indians who work abroad who send remittances, well, there has been an increase in share of skilled jobs. Because most of the remittances that came from Gulf countries were from semi-skilled jobs or low-skilled jobs. But now there has been an increased share of skilled jobs. 78% of Indian migrants in US work in high-paying sectors like doctors, engineers, scientists, okay, sending large sums of money. So our remittances have also increased because the salaries of Indians working abroad, it has also increased. That has also increased, right? So our remittances have also increased. Now, what are the factors behind this change? What changed this? Why has advanced economies, or why were the advanced economies able to displace Gulf countries? What were the factors behind this change? Number one, now more and more skilled Indians are migrating abroad, especially professionals in science, technology, engineering, and maths, STEM professionals who are working in US, UK. They earn more salaries than jobs in Gulf countries. Okay. Then education driven migration also happens. UK offers graduate visa, Canada offers PGE, WP. Okay. So high skilled, highly educated students or workers are being attracted to these developed countries. Then government is also providing policy support. India has agreements with these developed countries like India UK Mobility Partnership. That this mobility partnership basically tripled Indian migrants, skilled Indian migrants to UK. Okay. Plus, there is also an economic crisis in Gulf. Basically, oil was the most dominant sector is still the most dominant sector in Gulf. But because of oil price volatility, this sector is going through crisis, and that is why they are shelling off more and more workers. So there is not much demand for workers in this sector because of this crisis. So this is also the reason why there are less remittances being provided from these Gulf countries. Okay. Now this change has happened as per RBI. So what impact will it have on India? First of all, if more and more Indian migrants are working in high paying jobs, well, they will send more money back home because their salaries are more now, right? Now, remittances help bridge India's trade deficit. What is trade deficit? By how much amount India's imports are more than exports. So, India runs a trade deficit. But this trade deficit is compensated for by remittances. 42% of India's trade deficit is bridged or is compensated for by remittances. Okay. So now this is going to increase more because now Indians are working in high paying jobs. So this is good development. Then less dependence on Gulf. Plus, there is going to be a regional shift. You see, people working in Gulf countries mostly belong to the state of Kerala. And because Kerala used to receive a lot of remittances, because more and more Keralites used to work in Gulf countries. So therefore, Kerala received a lot of remittances. So Kerala's economy was doing well. But now this is going to change. Now countries like Telangana and Karnataka, which are more US focused, they would benefit. Okay. So this is the shift. This is the consequence that we are going to see in future. We are already seeing it. Okay. Now let's move on to topic number 2, which is Technology and Innovation Report 2025. India and China are the only developing countries, remember, developing countries in the world with significant private investments in artificial intelligence in 2023 as per UN Trade and Development, UN Trade and Development, Council for Trade and Development report says. Okay, so the 2025 Technology and Innovation Report issued by UN Trade and Development has ranked India at 10th globally in private AI investments. Okay, there were some more highlights as per this report. So what was that? First, let's talk about this report. What is this report all about? So it is a global analytical report that evaluates how countries are prepared for and investing in frontier technologies. Now, what do we mean by this term frontier technologies? Well, new 21st century technologies. These new technologies that are disrupting everything. These are called frontier technologies like AI, robotics, Internet of Things, biotechnology. Okay. Now, this report analyzes how countries are prepared to basically launch these technologies in their respective arenas. Okay, this report is published by United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. It tracks a country's performance on investment in AI, frontier technology readiness, information and communication technology access, how many people have access to internet, skill level, R&D level, industrial capacity, and access to finance. So on the basis of these indicators, well, countries are assessed. Now, how has India performed as per this report? It's a mixed bag of findings. Okay, so there are some good news. There is some good news. There is some bad news as far as India is concerned with respect to this report. As far as investment is concerned, India ranks 10th worldwide in private artificial intelligence investments. India received $1.4 billion in 2023 in AI. Okay, then there is this index called Frontier Technology Readiness Index. India ranks 36th out of 170, improving from 48th. So basically, it's basically good news. Okay, this reflects progress in policy support, human capital, industrial capacity. AI research and innovation strength. Well, India listed among countries with strong AI scientific output alongside China, Germany, UK, USA. So alongside China and developed countries, India is doing well. India shows specialization in nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is also a frontier technology. Okay. So this is India's performance. That's all you need to know. Just remember that this report is published by United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. Okay. Now let's move on to third news item, and it's basically a dangerous development. Okay. It relates to Ottawa Convention. Now, what is Ottawa Convention? You see, there are these things called landmines. Okay. Now, landmines are those bombs that are buried underground so that when someone steps on them, well, it explodes. Okay. Now, some landmines are for tanks, some landmines are for people. Okay. Those are known as anti personnel landmines. Now, anti personnel landmines are not visible. Okay. So, there will be an open field. And when you step on a landmine on that open field, it will explode. Okay. Now the problem with landmines is that during a war-like situation, okay, enemy countries actually bury a particular field with landmines. So whenever an enemy country is retreating, let's suppose there is a war between India and Pakistan, and India is defeating Pakistan. Okay, so Pakistani soldiers are running away. Now, before running away, they would basically spread these landmines on those fields so that when Indian troops come, they would step on it and they would get destroyed. Okay, so that's the purpose. It is currently, this thing is being used in Russia and Ukraine war. So when Ukrainians are retreating, they are planting landmines. When Russians are retreating, they are planting landmines. Now, the problem with landmines is that once the war is over, no one knows which place has which landmine. So when post-war reconstruction efforts are being done, okay, so when war is over, people are going back to their homes, to their fields. Well, accidentally many people step on these landmines, which lead to so many deaths and which acts as a roadblock in post-war redevelopment, because the entire is full of landmines and it's very difficult to clean that area. Okay, therefore in 1997, well, many countries across the world signed Ottawa Convention. This Ottawa Convention basically came into force in 1999, adopted in 1997. And this Ottawa Convention basically bans landmines, use of anti-personnel landmines. So country is a signatory to this convention, well, they would not produce, stockpile, or use landmines. Now, that was the case, but what has happened? NATO members, Poland, Finland, and all three Baltic states. Baltic states are Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. Okay. NATO members, Poland, Finland, and three Baltic states have queued up over the past few weeks to withdraw from Ottawa Convention. So these countries have decided to withdraw from Ottawa Convention. And what is the reason? The thing is that currently Russia-Ukraine war is going on. And many people, many skeptics believe that Donald Trump is going to basically is going to favor Russia. Okay. So all these countries who share a land border with Russia, they are now scared. They think that tomorrow Russia will invade them and USA won't come to their aid because currently Donald Trump is, at least the perception is in the media, that Donald Trump is favoring Russia over Ukraine. So these countries are fearful that maybe Donald Trump will favor Russia again against us if Russia invades us also. So that is why these countries are now thinking about withdrawing from Ottawa Convention so that they can use landmines against Russia. Now, this is a dangerous development. The move threatens to reverse decades of campaigning by activists who say there should be global ban on landmines. Countries that will quit this treaty will now be able to produce, use, stockpile, and transfer landmines again. Okay, that is why this development is a dangerous development. Okay, so about the convention, it is also known as Mine Ban Treaty. It is legally binding international agreement that prohibits the use, stockpiling, production, transfer of anti-personnel landmines. Currently, 164 countries are its members, but major countries like USA, Russia, India, China, and Israel are not its members. So they are not obliged to ban landmines. Now, the thing is, all European countries that border with Russia, except Norway. Norway also shares a border with Russia, but except Norway, all European countries that share a border with Russia are now thinking about withdrawing from this treaty. Okay, so that's bad news basically. Okay, anti-personnel landmines are generally hidden in the ground and designed to detonate automatically when someone steps on them or passes nearby. More than 80% of mine victims are civilians, according to International Committee of Red Cross. So the target might be military people, but 80% of the victims are generally civilians. Okay. Now, how did Ottawa Convention basically tackle this problem? So, under Ottawa Convention, signatory countries were supposed to destroy all landmine stockpiles within 4 years, although this has not been implemented properly since 1997. Plus, this convention also had a provision to assist victims who lost or who were suffering medically. So there existed some provisions with respect to helping these victims in the Ottawa Convention. All right, that's all you need to know as far as this news item is concerned. Now let's move on to Vibrant Villages program. You see, the thing is that in India, border areas, land border areas are quite sensitive. And because they're quite sensitive, villages in these areas suffer a lot. Okay, because border areas are those areas which are sensitive with respect to national security. Plus, these are the areas through which crime, drug crime, human trafficking crime also happens. So these areas do not have much opportunity for economic development. Therefore, in 2023, government launched Vibrant Villages program, which focuses solely on villages in border areas, especially in India's northern borders. Okay, it focuses on their development, it focuses on their economic opportunities, it focuses on their overall holistic development. Okay, now the thing is that if these village people are economically impoverished, okay, then these criminals, these terrorists find fertile grounds for recruitment because these people are already these people do not have any jobs. Okay, these people lack livelihood opportunities. So whenever a criminal or a drug trafficking gang comes to their area and gives them a few gives them a few notes of money, okay, and asks them to do certain jobs for them, well, they will readily do it. But if this entire area is developed, well, they will have job opportunities, And whenever in future someone from this criminal syndicate approaches these people, they would inform the police because now they're not in need for that much money. You understand my point? Okay. So it is for this reason Vibrant Villages program was launched in India's northern borders. Now government is ready to launch Vibrant Villages program 2.0 or part 2 to expand the reach of these borders. Now it won't be confined to northern borders. In other borders also this program would be launched. Okay. So Union Cabinet chaired by PM approved Vibrant Villages program part 2 as a central sector scheme. That means it will be 100% financed by the government, furthering its commitment for the vision of Vikasit Bharat at 2047 for safe, secured and vibrant land borders. The program would help in comprehensive development of villages located in blocks abutting international land borders other than northern borders, which were covered under VVP Part 1. So about VVP 2, it is implemented by Ministry of Home Affairs. The budget for it is around 6,000 crores, 7,000 crores between this period. It covers border villages beyond what was covered in Part 1. The coverage is extended to 17 states UTs, including Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Punjab, Gujarat, J&K, Ladakh. The purpose is improve quality of life in border villages, provide livelihood opportunities, economic opportunities to these people, help in national security, enhance infrastructure development in these areas, curb trans-border crime, enhance connectivity. Okay, what are the key features of this program? Basic services saturation. So it will provide all-weather roads, telecom, TV access, basic services to these areas. Livelihood opportunities would be provided. Infrastructure development would be done. Governance support, cultural and national integration, development of village action plans, in which community participation, feedbacks from people would be taken. Okay, that is it. Now, the last topic is, as we discussed, the last topic is initiatives at the 6th BIMSTEC Summit. Now, there is nothing to understand in this. You just have to remember this information. Therefore, I'm not spending time discussing this 5th topic, but it is provided in your notes. So, there are a few things which were launched in BIMSTEC Summit, like Bodhi Initiative, okay, Centers of Excellence. So, just remember them. That is just information for you to cram. Okay. And that would be all. With that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it would add more value if you revise this lecture as well. Okay? And on that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.